Chevy showroom of the Falls Auto Group here in Corbin, Kentucky, and streaming live at www.wkkqfm.com. You're listening to the September 3rd edition of the Falls Auto Group Tri-County Sports Hour. I'm your host this evening, Steve Black, joined by my co-host, as always, JT Elliott. And tonight on the show, our special guest, en route from across town here in Corbin, is going to be Coach Justin Haddix of the Corbin Redhound football team. Get a chance to talk to him about things that have been going on so far this year with the Corbin Redhounds. But first things first, JT, what's on the agenda with everything else going on tonight?
We will have your review of the Tri-County football games for week 1 and your preview for week 2 and those pigskin contests. What else is going on, Steve Black? Well, we have your fall sports report, all the other sports, volleyball, cross country, soccer, we've got those covered. We will talk to Corbin football coach Justin Haddix. A lot of people might not know that coaches just don't coach on Friday nights. They're also going to the JV games, the freshman games, the middle school games, the youth games. Football season for coaches is one of those times a year.
Pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, 3 hours of sleep per night, I'd say. And we will conclude with your Take It to the Bank picks for week 2 in the pigskin contest.
Now, here's the thing with the Take It to the Bank tonight. Special guest is going to go toe-to-toe with you tonight, JT, and that is the GM here at Falls Auto Group, Mr. Richie Grigsby. He's agreed to come on later on this evening and take you on. So what do you think about that?
Bring it on. I think he should put a 6th-generation Camaro on the line if I defeat him.
And first of all, we do want to thank Mr. Grigsby and the fine men and women here at Falls Auto Group, especially our cameraman James for putting us here on YouTube this evening. You can always go to YouTube, search for Falls Auto Group Mix 96. You'll find the show. All the shows so far have been on YouTube, and they'll be put up either later tonight or tomorrow here in the next couple of days. But you can always check those out. But again, thank them for allowing us to be here in the Chevy showroom to do the show. So without further ado, JT, we talk about our review. And again, last week was week 1 of the football season. So let's get to it. Let's get to the games that are going on around the Tri-County.
Well, it was Central versus Central, Knox Central versus Louisville Central. It was the opening game, but truly the main event of the Cumberland Falls Pigskin Classic. Steve, I expected the Panthers to put points on the board, but I did not think they could win this one. They proved me wrong. In the words of you, I heard you Friday night say this, they played up to the competition. And that's what exceptional teams do. They overcome the odds. Just a few stats to throw out there. 3 TDs by Jackson Stewart. That's 2 in the air, 1 on the ground. 113 yards through the air for him. Donovan Doolittle Arthur, over 100 yards on the ground for him. Tanner Wells, 2 receiving touchdowns and an interception to seal the victory. You had Jared Hall with 15 solo tackles, so it was truly a team effort. And Louisville Central, 6 total turnovers, 5 fumbles, 1 interception.
And I think that was a big key as we talk about this game a little bit. I believe it was 24-7 going into the half. Louisville Central on top. I don't think a lot of people believe that Knox Central could win this contest. In fact, even Coach Scotty Russell at the end of the game, he did some interviews and was talking about that. It felt like nobody was believing that they could do anything except those guys on that team right there. And to come back, to come back with that far down in the second half, things have to happen. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of big plays that were going on, and you'll touch on a couple of those. But the main thing you mentioned was turnovers. And if you're committing 6 turnovers, it's hard to win the contest.
You hear about that team acronym together, everyone achieves more. People put it on walls and workplaces and locker rooms. Totally true, though, because they could have not won this game without a team effort. And big players make big plays, and that's what happened in this win. Jeremy Stewart was able to bust out a nice 23-yard first down. Those type of plays allow your offense to get going because you have other producers. So then your more known stars, so to speak, your starters, can then make their big play, what they're expected to do. Casey Patterson recovered a fumble to stop a drive. They had their miscues, though. The Panthers had a bad snap, and that led to a safety at one point in the game. And Louisville punched it in for a touchdown on the next drive. And they were down 24-7 at the end of the third. But then there's the rest of the story, as they say in radio. Knox Central goes for an onside kick, recovers it with about 4 minutes to go, and with under a minute to go, Tanner Wells catches that touchdown pass to seal the victory for the Panthers.
You mentioned Tanner Wells, only 2 catches in the contest, but both of them for touchdowns. And the game-winning interception at the end to kind of seal the deal. So, stat-wise, it doesn't seem to be a lot, but big plays when they really needed them. So he came up big for the Panthers that night.
Right. And some people would say in this 28-24 victory that Knox Central was lucky. I don't necessarily believe in luck. I believe in creating opportunities to win. And this just shows that the Panthers won because they were well coached. They had no regard for last week's loss. I mean, they lost 49-0 to Bryan Station last week. And it was easy to tell that team had totally forgot about last week. This is a new week. And that just shows you that they're following their coach's guidance. This is a victory that is a testament to the whole program, to the coaches, the players, the support staff, and of course the Panther Nation.
And the thing is, this could be a catalyst because we looked at their schedule on our first show this fall. We were talking about the preview for the season and the Murderers Row schedule that this team had, and playing Bryan Station and playing Louisville Central. This week they've got Pulaski Southwestern and Harlan County and Henry Clay, and that's all before the district. They got Corbin later on, and some felt that they probably would be like 1-4 going into the district. Now the thing is, could this win turn that around? Could this be the start of something really big for the Panthers?
Well, they have to forget about this week too. The past is the past. You focus on the present, and that's all you can do right now.
Well, there you go. And again, your final score last Friday night at the Big State Classic, 28-24 Knox Central, taking the win, going to 1-1 on the season. Well, JT, let's get on to another game that happened over just down the road here from the Falls Auto Group over here at Lynn Camp. And it was Lynn Camp and McCreary Central. I think you had a ringside seat there.
That's right. I was right in the press box doing the public address for the Wildcats. And it was alumni night, which means always a big crowd and always a down-to-the-wire game at Howard Stadium. Lynn Camp opened, this is very important, opened with a 7-minute drive. They didn't score, but that was the theme for the game. They controlled the clock. Not Knox, but McCreary Central scores on the first possession on a pass. Then it was just back and forth, back and forth. It was Apollo and Balboa going back and forth. Brennan Medlin proved hard to tackle. He broke free numerous nights, including a nice 35-yard touchdown run. He had 113 on the night. Dalton Cook, big 43-yard touchdown run. He had 146 yards on the ground at night, and a nice 20-yard touchdown pass from Brown to Weddle as well. There was a controversial play at the end, and the Wildcats could have taken a knee to win the game. Steve, McCreary had no timeouts. There was about a minute left in the contest. Instead, the Wildcats run. They fumble the ball. McCreary recovers, but luckily, the Wildcat defense, those hitmen, held strong against the Raiders, giving Alan Harris his first coaching win.
I guess if you're like a wrestling booker, to coin a phrase, I guess you threw that in there to give it some drama there at the end of the game for the fans and things like that. I'm sure it's not how he wanted it, but again, a nice defensive stand there from the Campers to seal the victory.
Right. I'll tell you what I was most impressed with was they ran the power offense efficiently. It looked much better Friday night than it did 2 weeks ago in the Grittorama. And their wide receivers were able to block better. You could see if they could block better, you could see some more long distance runs.
Okay, now can you kind of explain a little bit more about that as to why?
Power offense means that you're outnumbering the defense on one side of the ball. You're either pulling that guard or you're going to take a running back on the far side and bring them across. That's the power. It's easy to pick up 3 to 5 yards. What you want to do, though, with your running back is them bounce outside the hash to go upfield. That means your wide receivers have to block. So that 3 to 5 yard run then could bust open for your 40-yard runs. So your wide receivers have to block. It's actually called, it sounds like the 1980s Nintendo, like something out of that. It's actually called the power path. So if they can get their wide receivers to block, bust the run on the outside hash, you can see some very long touchdown runs.
All right, and again, the final 26-22, Lynn Camp goes to 1-1 on the season. Now, there's another special note you wanted to talk about. I think it happened at halftime, right, JD?
Yes, at halftime on Alumni Night at Lynn Camp, they always recognize their alumni through the decades. The class of 2011 gave Dylan Napier's parent his game jersey. Dylan recently passed away, and that's why alumni nights are so important. It creates a sense of family, and it creates a sense of community.
And very well said. And again, you always get a lot of that over there at Lynn Camp. So again, another great night for that. So, Very good. Well, let's go ahead and take a break right now. I think I see someone here in the Chevy showroom that may have an interest in our next review
I think
coming
it has
up.
a state title ring too.
I think he has a state title ring. We may talk about that a little bit, but Coach Justin Haddix has come into the Chevy showroom, and when we come back, we'll have him here at the table as we review Corbin's win over Louisville Wagner last week at the Pigskin Classic. You are listening to the Tri-County Sports Hour here at the Falls Auto Group in Corbin, Kentucky on Mix 96.1.
An all-American deal from folks that you can trust. Made right here in the USA, all-American cars and trucks. They just don't talk the talk, they walk the walk. At Falls Auto Group, you'll feel the difference.
Back here at the Chevy showroom here at the Falls Auto Group in Corbin, Kentucky. You're listening to the Tri-County Sports Hour here on Mix 96, and we are joined here by Coach Justin Haddix of Corbin. And first of all, just thank you for taking the time to come over. I know there's a freshman game going on, so again, JT had mentioned earlier, as a coach, it's not just coaching the main high school team, but you're involved in a lot of other teams, JV and freshmen, and even, on down the line. So again, I know you're very busy. Thank you for coming over and spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me. I left. It was I think we were up 14-0 going into the fourth, so I felt good about it.
There you go. Now, who are you playing
We
tonight?
played Knox Central.
Oh,
Then
okay.
our 7th and 8th grade play after that, they play Clay County. So
Okay.
after this, I'm gonna head back over there and get a little look at them.
All right, very good. So as we went to break, we were reviewing some of the games that were going on over this past weekend here in the Tri-County area. So we're going to continue on with that. And the second game of the Pigskin Classic, the 20th annual Pigskin Classic, featured Corbin and Louisville Wagner. JT, tell us a little bit about that.
Red Hounds take a 7-0 lead over Wagner on the first possession of the game on a 5-yard touchdown pass from Cameron Sizemore to A.J. Moore. Corbin as a team, they rushed for 330 yards, 150 of those coming from Tucker Jewell. And Drew Carter scores 11 yards out to push the lead over Wagner 14-0. They go on in the third and push it to 21-0, a touchdown pass to Dylan Brock. Wagner does cut the lead to 28-6 after a 99-yard interception return with 4:35 to play, but that was as close as it would get. Corbin has now rushed for 691 yards in their first two games of the season. Who saw that one coming? I didn't.
Oh, well, that's you're talking about a team that's lost 18 seniors from last year's squad and trying to find some identity there. And again, a lot of yards rushing there at the beginning. So why don't we just, get it from the coach's mouth as we talk about that. So what is, Coach Haddix, with the success that you're having there with the running game? What's going on there that seems to be working for you?
Well, I think this year, we lost two great backs, our leading rushers, and Jake Kopic and Brian Nance last year, and they kind of did the bulk of our running. But, this year we really got four guys, and you include Cameron Sizemore, our quarterback, running the football. He's a dangerous guy back there to run. He's a load to come up and tackle. Tucker's been getting the most of it. But if you look at our carries, they're pretty even. And what we are, I think we had one guy with 25, one guy with 22, another guy with 17, and then Sizemore's around 20-something. So, it makes it hard to defend if you got four different guys that can really run the football. And they all bring different things to us and really makes us successful. And then it helps when you got those big guys up front that are playing the way they are.
And that's a big important characteristic, having those big guys up front, being able to run. Now, when it comes to this, and we've talked with other coaches about this, trying to become two-dimensional with the passing as well. Now, if the defense is giving it to you, you might as well run it, right?
Yeah, and you look at that as I felt we could have continued running the football and probably punched in a few more scores, but we wanted to work on our passing game and do that stuff later on in the game, and ended up we didn't make the plays we needed to make, and that's something we focused on this week. And we've got to get to where we can throw and run, and that was last year. Looking at it, we were 51% run, 49% pass, and that's where you want to be in the middle. And then it makes it really hard for a defense to defend you if you can run and pass both.
Exactly. Now, JT, anything else about the game you wanted to
Well,
talk
I
about?
hope I don't get in too much trouble on this one from Coach Haddix, but here's my opinion on what I've seen of Corbin so far and coming out of the Wagner game. And it's really a testament to how well they're coached, because in my opinion, Wagner was faster than Corbin. To the point I would say Corbin's fastest player would have been Wagner's fifth fastest player. But to stop speed, you have to be fundamentally coached and prepared. Corbin always is. The one thing that I see from them is their linebackers are young, and it shows. They're a little hesitant, and the hesitation is going to get them caught and in trouble facing some bigger teams. They've got another week to get it cleaned up, and I think they can do that before they go in that Danville, Southwestern Mayfield stretch.
Do you agree with that assessment there,
I think
Coach?
a lot of that's. I I don't know if our fastest guy would be their top 5, against that. But like I said, our coaches, Coach Greer, Coach Mauser, they do a great job with our defense of getting them there. And, as far as our linebackers being hesitant, we were getting to the ball and the linebackers had to get there. But now when we're playing more of a power running team, they've got to come down and smack them in the mouth. And we've got to get better at that. And we're continuing to work on that, and that's all we can do.
Excellent, thank you, Coach. Now, again, the final 28-6, your score. Now, we'll talk to Coach more as we go along about other things happening there with his team. But let's go ahead and finish up the other reviews that are going on. JT, you had a game down in Middlesboro on Friday night. Whitley County, a team that Coach knows very well, played in the first game of the season. But somebody busted out and had seemed like a career game down there. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think Luke Woods just created a huge highlight film last week. 347 yards on 24 carries. That included 5 touchdowns. That's 15 yards per carry. He also connected on 6 passes for 122 yards and 1 score. Not to be outdone, Nathan Jackson also had 61 yards in the score. As a team, Whitley's rushed for 461 yards on the ground and has had 583 yards in total offense. Millsboro did convert a high amount of third down conversions, but the D for Whitley came through at the right time. Whitley wins the game on a goal line stand. They take over on downs with 1:39 left, and they go to the house with a 47-38 victory over your Middlesboro Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that some other time there. But yeah, impressive game from Luke Woods. Now, Coach, I'm going to bring you in on this. You had a chance to see him firsthand. Your impressions of Mr. Woods?
Luke Woods is a terrific athlete, as far as they put him in positions to, make some plays. And I think that's where he's most successful is, running some midline and some doing other things and the zone read, pulling it and doing that. And, he gets the ball in open space, and he got out on us a couple of times, and, he can really make some things happen.
Yeah, and it's definitely impressive, and he went crazy there against Middlesboro. Again, the final 47-38, Whitley County going to 1-1 on the season. JT, a couple more games to look at. Down in Williamsburg, it was the Yellow Jackets trying to get their first victories. They took on Somerset.
They did not get that first victory, but I believe Williamsburg improved this week, and I believe that was Coach Herron's goal. Though they still have a long way to go before district play. Williamsburg did score on a 65-yard interception return by Darrell White. They also scored on a 64-yard touchdown pass from Alex Poor to Alex Patterson with under a minute left in the first. Poor was 13-26. That's only 36% in the completion rate. That has to improve. Patterson had 170 yards receiving. Jackets rushing only 66 yards on 13 carries. That is 5+ yards a carry, though. Somerset scored also on a touchdown that was fumbled in the end zone. And the secondary for the Jackets, they've given up 541 passing yards and 7 touchdowns in 2 games so far. So that has to get cleaned up. They fall to the Briar Jumpers 41-20 last week.
Yeah, no, and we talked about this. Talked about this with some of the people. I think the first game we had kind of a platoon at the quarterback. I think they have found a quarterback now, and Alec Poor and Patterson being a really good receiver. So we'll see how that works out now with the defensive secondary. I was talking with someone today, and their opinion was that it's kind of get pressure on the quarterback, and they're only rushing seems to be 3 at a time. So again, I'm sure that they'll clean that up. And as we talk about, it's a process. And I think one thing about this team that I think people can agree, for the last 2 years being in the state title game, the people that were there, they're not there anymore. And this team has to get their own identity and play their own game. And so again, as the season goes on, they're going to develop that as they get into district.
Yellow Jacket fans should not go into panic mode, and no one should. Remember, this is a team that was 2-2 at one point 2 years ago and still made the state title game. So no reason to go in panic mode as you're playing some good teams in Somerset, Lexington Christian the week before. So no concerns, just look to improve each week.
Very good. And your final again, 41-20, Somerset winning, and Williamsburg going to 0-2. So hopefully they'll turn that around later on this week, and we'll talk about that. And then finally, on Saturday, JT, we had the 15th annual Cumberland Valley Bowl featuring North and South Laurel. The first game, North Laurel taking on Harrison County. What do you have from that?
Well, North took the lead, and they never gave it up. 257 yards, 4 touchdowns of Steven Nelson, and the game-ending interception in the end zone as Harrison was trying to tie the game. Harrison did fight back and forth, but the Jags with the 45-35 victory. North's defense, 3 interceptions on the night and 14 total tackles for Jake McWhorter.
So again, a little bit of the same we saw in the first game against South. A lot of running, some good defense. Now, no offense, but Harrison County a little bit better than South. in the sense of competition right now, but again, North holding on and doing what they've been doing all season. So again, North takes that. And then the second game of the main event that night, it was the host South Laurel taking on Wayne County.
Well, let's look at a positive. Jordan Patterson had a big night for the Cardinals of South Laurel, 17 solo tackles. He had 14 solo last week. That's 31 solo tackles now on the year. Zach Payne had 9 solo tackles as well. Only 46 rushing yards for the South Laurel Cardinals. And the rushing yards on the year does include losses for sacks, but that means their line needs to do some work and to improve there. Adrian Foltz was 10 of 25, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick for 181 yards, and wide receiver Jared Grubb over 100 yards receiving on 4 catches and a touchdown score.
Sorry, go ahead.
They fall 49-13 to the Wayne County Cardinals.
And we've talked about this, JT. You know, this is a school that this is their 4th head coach in the last 4 years, so they're going to have to again start developing some things and getting things going. But you know, Fultz and Grubb, it's good to see those guys shine, and maybe that they could be the catalyst to turn things around for the Cardinals.
Just look to improve. That's all you can do right now. Focus on the present and look to improve. What area can I grow in right now this week? How can I improve my game? How can we as a program improve? Let's take a step towards that. That's all you need to be focused on right now.
There you go. So it's a game at a time. It sounds cliche, but you know, it's the truth. So again, 49-13, your score, Wayne County winning that one. So that was the games this weekend in the Tri-County. And before we go to break, just going to shout out to a couple of players. Tanner Wells from Knox Central, gave him a kind of co-player of the week. And I think the reason for that, not a lot of statistics, but I think the key plays that he made in that big win against Louisville Central. And I think it was really, again, a big win for Knox Central. So 2 touchdown receptions on 2 catches and the game-winning interception to seal the deal. Tanner going from tight end to wide receiver this year, so, you know, adjustment there. So a shout-out to Tanner for that. And also, I think you can't deny Luke Woods and what he did against Middlesboro with the 347 rushing yards to add to that 118 passing yards. And he was responsible for 6 touchdowns. So, again, those 2 players are co-player of the week. You agree, JT?
Absolutely. You just can't deny Woods' ability there and the statistics he puts up. And for Tanner Wells, he was expected to make big plays this year. There was a lot to pressure put on his shoulders to come through for that Knox Central program, and obviously he has.
All right, and again, that's it for our review of last week. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we come back. I know that the people on radio can't see this, but for those of you who watch this later on YouTube, there's a nice piece of hardware on this table, and we're going to chat us to talk about that here in just a minute. So again, you're listening to Steve and JT on the Falls Auto Group Tri-County Sports Hour here on Mix 96.1.
Question number 1. Where can you shop Fords and Chevys conveniently in one location?
Falls Auto Group?
That is correct. Question number 2. Where do you get free car washes for life when you purchase a vehicle?
Falls Auto Group?
That is correct. Final question. Where are you going to buy your next car or truck?
Falls Auto Group.
Correct. Let's show him what he won.
Right on the corner, right on the price. Go to fallsautogroup.com.
Here at Falls Auto Group in Corbin, you're listening to the Tri-County Sports Hour here on 96.1. We're being joined by our special guest, Coach Justin Haddix of Corbin Greyhounds, the football coach there. And Coach, this is your time. We're going to give you a chance to shine here. And again, thank you for taking time to come out and be with us this evening. But this is probably something you don't want to talk about, and you've heard this enough already. But again, you know, this is your second year with the team. Last year, an awesome 11-2 season, and you know, bookends with tough losses, but they were losses to teams that one went on to win the state, one got very deep into the state, in Pulaski and Louisville Central, respectively. But it's the one at the end, I guess, that stung the most, and how that game transpired. And again, won't go into detail on that. You've heard that enough. It's one of those, if I had a dime for every time, you'd be rich. But I just wanted to know, after that game and everything that transpired, what did you say to your team?
It was just one thing kind of learned from that. And, after that game's over, obviously seniors are emotional. It's the last time they get to play. And you just talk about how much you love them. And, we had a great time. And I said, for a group coming in, they really bought into what I was doing. And that's rare sometimes. You got a bunch of seniors, they've done it this way. A new coach comes in, they're going to do it that way, and you kind of move on. They really bought into what we were doing and really excelled. And we had a great year. I said, lost to the 5A state champions and then the 3A state runner-up. And, that game And we use that in the off season a lot. And I said, I watch it. I usually try to watch it once a week, or something, especially in the off season before I go in the weight room. And we talk about finish. From now, we're up 26-0. You've got to finish that ball game. We finished the last drive. That doesn't happen. We finish on certain plays and do things, and just breaking each play down and really learning from it. You don't want to harp on it all the time, but those losses and those things happen for a reason. You've got to learn from them and move on. You just can't kind of wipe it away and go. So we've learned from those, and we just continue to work, and that's been our whole thing. Every time we break down, it's finish. And this is why we do this. So it's been. Wish you didn't have to learn that way, but sometimes you got to learn the hard way and keep going. And we're looking for brighter things in the future.
Now, you yourself as a player, you won a state title yourself, I believe in your last season, ironically against Corbin. We won't go there, but again, you won a state title. Was there anything there that you could use from your experience as a player to impart, especially in those that are returning, for this season after that game?
I said, it's funny you say that, and just kind of thinking about it now, we lost to Belfry by one. When I was a junior, we lost to Belfry by 1.
Yes.
We were up, I think, 26-21 or 27-6 and lost 28-27. So that's something that you come back from that, and like I said, we worked hard and used that off season. Hopefully, we can have that same result.
Exactly. Now, you were talking about it, kind of the using the momentum and the goal of finishing, and that's probably your mantra as you were into the off season. How are you seeing that so far? Now, I know the season's only 2 games old, but are you seeing anything? Are you seeing things you're expecting? I know there's other things that are going to happen, but what's your total assessment of the team so far after 2 games?
I think we're improving. I said that was one thing coming from our scrimmage that I thought we looked very poorly and just didn't come out and execute very well in our scrimmage against Harlan County and Leslie County. And those are 2 good football teams, but then we got so much better from there until we played Whitley. And then I felt we improved defensively going against all that speed against Louisville Wagner. And then up front, I thought we played pretty good on the offensive line. And so, you're just looking for improvements each week that you're going, and they're buying into what you're doing, and, offensively and defensively. Because every team's different. Our offense is totally different from what we ran last year. Just because there's different people and different things. Same thing with defensively. We don't have those same people, that are there. It's going to be different things we do, and we just got to keep getting better, find out what we're really good at, and we got to get better at those areas.
And I think that's a good thing about the way the schedule lays out. And this is for all the teams in the Commonwealth. You don't actually play your district games until about mid-season or so. Gives you a chance to, almost have, for lack of a better term, preseason games, if you will. Because again, it's you get to the district, it's for positioning in the playoffs. It doesn't really matter in the sense of your overall record, but it's those district games. And so, what are you looking at when we say district? And I know it's a few games away, but I know you're focusing on Clay County. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But who are you looking at within the district? I know maybe one team in particular, Bell County, October 16th. That's going to be a big one. But I noticed there's some change in the district this year. Wayne County's left, but Jackson County has come into the district. So, what do you see in the district so far this year, even though we're 2 games in?
I think as far as our schedule, the way we set up our schedule, as far as, Whitley County was a big game. And I said that was a playoff type atmosphere. Louisville Wagner has some speed, and they spread it out and do some things. Clay County's going to spread it out and do some things and be physical. And then Danville's got the speed that we got. And then Southwestern, they're a really tough football team. And then you're going into Mayfield. And then after that, we start our district play. So, we're getting tested before we go there to see what we got and really working to get in there. And then you obviously going to have Casey County, who's much improved off what they did last year. I think their coach is doing a great job with them. We get Jackson County, and then, obviously Bell County is a big game. That's usually, that was the district final game last year, for the district championship, and, we got out on top of them, and, we just got to keep working, and we watch them and see where they're at. But, we got to go one game at a time and keep improving until we get to that point.
And you mentioned Bell County, those games are instant classics, especially, again, anytime those 2 teams play, but especially in the last couple of years, it's been great. Now, let's talk about your opponent this weekend, which is going to be Clay County, and I'm going to defer it over here to JT to talk about that.
Well, I have seen Clay County play, and my question is on sort of what I alluded to earlier, linebackers and secondary. How are they going to handle, and what do you expect from them against Clay County? Because I know they got Will Sexton at quarterback, they got Ty Little, Nick Alvarez, and Wes Wolf. All those are pretty good athletes that if you give them space, they can bust a play open. I'm not too worried about Clay County's defense, but their offense does have some highlights there. So what are you saying to your secondary and linebackers against that type of passing offense? And not just a passing offense, but one that could bust a play open.
Well, it all starts up front, and that's something that we talk about. Our defensive line's got to get a great push, and that's one of our strengths of our team is what we returned and what we got coming there. We got 5 or 6 guys that we can really rotate in to get pressure on Sexton. He's a really nice player. He can run, pocket breaks down. He can make things happen. He can sit in there and throw it. Wes Wolf's a really talented guy, and then their tight end's a really good guy. I think 33. I forget his name. I focus on numbers, but they can really play, and we've got to stay at home and do what we're coached to do. We've got to read play run first, and we got to drop to our zones and find them and really make plays when the ball's in there.
Well, what's one thing that every coach is like, we got to clean up this area, especially this young in the season? What's one area that you want to clean up with your football team that like we need to get that a little bit more crisp?
Well, we've got to turn into a pass rush. When it's passing situations, I think our guys got to turn into pass rushers and really make plays on them. And, in the secondary is just breaking on the football. I feel we're more athletic, this year, and we've done a great job so far, but it's going, when the ball's in there, go make a play. And, that's what we're looking forward to. And, we're getting a lot of opportunities here, and that's what's going to help us later on in the playoffs.
And one other question. How long of a field goal will you let Lucas Cannoneer take? Because if he was at the 50, I'd say go for it.
He can kick a 55-yarder. I think in practice we've kicked a 55-yarder in there. Now we don't get a whole lot of reps at that, and that's why you sometimes a little hesitant as far as blocking it. But the more reps we get, more of that, more we'll feel comfortable with him doing that. But now he can kick the football definitely, and that's a weapon for us. That, he kicks it off the end zone, and when you're playing these teams, and just like Louisville Wagner, they got athletes back there that can really run. He's putting in the end zone. They have to start from the 20. That makes it hard for a high school offense that has to drive the ball 80 yards every time.
Now, JT, you love those kickers, don't you?
I do. Keaton Kennedy's, Lucas Cannoneer, who, I've been a big fan of the Cannoneer brothers in the soccer program at Corbin. So, I'm all about the kickers. The kicking game is a huge asset, like Coach Haddock said. Instead of a 60-yard drive, your opponents have to go 80 yards, and you don't give them a chance to return the ball.
Yeah, but best of luck this weekend as you take on Clay County. Now, a couple other things I want to ask you before we get you out of here. Now, again, last week was the Pigskin Classic, and normally when you have these bowl games, they give trophies out to the winners. Now, we showed this here to the people that are watching on YouTube, but you don't have a trophy here. Tell us a little bit about this piece of hardware.
Well, Christy there at Lowe's, we were talking, and she come over and looked at some trophies, and we looked at this and looked at that. And then Coach Mauser had mentioned and said something about, let's do a belt. Let's look championship belt. I think he's a wrestling fan. I know his daughter I've had in school there, Macy, she's a wrestling fan, so they watch wrestling all the time. And we said, I said, I'm fine with it. I said, I think kids will like it. It's something different, something new, and they designed it, and I was getting pictures of it. And I said, yeah, that looks good. And then, I said, the kids love it. When you look at it, I said, they've all put it on. After we give it to them, they were all taking pictures, holding it in the air, and we really enjoyed it, and I think it's been a great deal to the Pigskin Classic.
Well, show that up to a little bit as we got the camera here on YouTube. Now, I have to ask you this, Coach. Anybody do a Ric Flair woo with the belt?
Oh yeah, that's what we actually break down to on kickoff. We go out and it's woo, when they get their 1, 2, 3 Ric Flair. So we get after it, and they've all loved that and really enjoyed it.
So if you want to see a picture of that belt, you'll have to tune into YouTube. And again, the Falls Auto Group, Mix 96, you can check that out. But that's really nice stuff. Now, get you out of here in this one question. It's going to be totally off the wall here. So, but you've had a really good career. Your high school career, Breathitt County won a state title. You have a really good career at Western Kentucky, top 5, top 10, a lot of offensive categories still today since you've been there. But and you're successful as a coach. Now, when all is said and done, and they do the Justin Haddock story, when Spielberg comes in and does the movie, who's going to play Justin Haddock?
I couldn't tell you. I said I focus on. I said I'm really just proud of being my kids are a big thing, major thing. My kids, my wife, Melissa, she's a doctor here, and then my 2 kids, JC and Jenna. That's one thing that really proud of, and it's hard to juggle here. We both got jobs and doing that with them, but I just want to. I love my job. I love being with kids. I love I feel like I help them, and I've got 2 little girls, and I feel like I got 85 boys. On my team. So, that's something I'm really proud of. And, I think they all know we care about them, and just really, and people, if they know you care about them, they're going to play hard for you. And, I think that's something that we got going on there, and all our coaches are that way. And I think that's what makes it special. And they know we're giving it our all, they're going to give it our all for us.
Well, one thing about Corbin, I know over the years, I'm not exactly an insider, but tradition and a tradition of winning, and you're continuing that right now. So again, congratulations to that continued success as you go through, the rest of the season. And thank you for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, now it's Coach Justin Haddix of the Corbin Redhounds. We're going to go ahead and take another break and let him go back to the games that he's wanting to watch. And we come back, we'll talk a little bit about some of the other sports going on, and then we're going to have another special guest to step in as we get our picks later in the hour. So again, you're listening to Steve and JT on the Falls Auto Group Tri-County Sports Hour here on Mix
Somewhere
96.1.
right on the corner, right on the price. An old rivalry continues.
Hey, let me show what Lincoln has to offer.
Cadillac can do you better.
My Lincoln Touch.
Cadillac user experience with haptic feedback.
6 years, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty.
The all-new Cadillac CTS-V pushing 556 horsepower.
Park assist.
Roadside assistance.
So which side performs the best? You decide at Falls Auto Group. Right on the corner, right on the price. North US Highway 25, Corbin.
Back here at the Chevy showroom here at Falls Auto Group, Tri-County Sports Hour, September 3rd edition. And now we want to go ahead and just change gears a little bit. I know a lot about football going on, but there are other sports happening here in the Tri-County. So just a little highlight of what's happening around the way. Volleyball going on right now in earnest. And again, these sports are going basically from late August to mid-October. So they're into their season right now, that we're in early September. But right now, South Laurel on top of everybody in the region, 10-2 overall, doing well in the district and region in volleyball. Other teams of note, North Laurel 6-3 overall, Whitley County, and Lynn Camp 3-5, Middlesboro 3-10. Some Tri-County teams again: Knox Central 2-2, Corbin 2-6. Again, new coach Jason McDaniel over there, and Barberville. We don't talk about them a lot, especially as the football season, but as we get along, we will talk more about them. But Barberville doing some volleyball as well. So games on tap for tonight and over the weekend as well. We just wanted to share these for those that are interested. Now, some of these games are already going on as we do the show, but South Laurel taking on Leslie County tonight. That game is at 5:30, so still in progress. North Laurel taking on McCreary Central. Now, for Whitley County, they're not playing tonight, but they will be playing September 8th over at Harlan County. Knox Central taking on Barberville, so crosstown rivalry tonight at Barberville going on right now for volleyball. Corbin at Clay County. That game started at the top of the hour here, and so still going on. And then Lynn Camp, they're in the JBL Classic. Now, I don't think that's Justin Bradshaw Layfield from, if you're a wrestling fan, I guess that's something else. But no, the JBL Classic going on just down the road here at Lynn Camp. So Lynn Camp already played, Bell County will play Jackson County later on this evening. So again, that's some of the things going on in volleyball right now. Now with boys soccer right now, it's Oneida Baptist. They are at the top of the region, 5-2 overall, impressive 3-0 in the region. But Corbin, two-time regional champion, two-time Elite Eight, three-time champion, corrected there by the former goalkeeper coach at Corbin, JT Elliott. But 3 in a row, but two in a row in the Elite Eight of the state. They're just right behind it, 4-1. South and North, 3-2, 3-3 respectively. One thing to note here about the boys soccer, Knox Central, again, second year of their program. 2 wins already this season, JT. 2-2 on the season. Victories over Middlesboro, and this week against Whitley County.
Yeah, so 2 region victories there. So that's very impressive. And again, I think that's because Knox Central's done this the right way. You don't just start a soccer program and say, let's do this, we'll start with the freshmen. No, they've had that youth program, middle school program. So those kids are used to playing.
So it's starting to pay off. And again, first-year coach Michael Pop doing good things over there in Knox Central. Get 2-2 on the season, early in the season. Now, games going on in the area, a couple tonight. North Laurel at East Jessamine. That game started at 6:30. Whitley County at Middlesboro. Game started at 6. Corbin taking on South Laurel. A big contest right there. Going to be on September the 8th. And then Knox Central, we talked about earlier, going to take on OBI this weekend, September 5th. Now, over on the girls' side, it's North Laurel doing well this year. at the top of the region, South right there. So it looks like, you know, those schools are going to be fighting it out. Oneida Baptist 3-2 on the season. Let's see, now Bell County and Knox Central, again, you know, some up and coming programs still, you know, working to get their identity. No wins on the season as of yet. But some of the games going around in the area in the girls' side, Corbin taking on Somerset, that's going on right now, started at 6 p.m. North Laurel taking on Middlesboro, again, that game is going on right now. September 5th is South Laurel taking on Bourbon County, and that's going to be the Kentucky Bank Labor Day Shootout. So again, September 5th, that's going on. Whitley County against Casey County on the 8th, and then Knox Central taking on OBI on the 5th. So it looks like a Knox Central OBI doubleheader this weekend. Now, a couple of other things to know. We mentioned other sports going on. Right now in golf, they're playing a lot of tournaments as they get toward the regional and the state tournament. We'll talk more about that as that gets along, and then a little bit more about cross country as we go along. Our teams here in the area are divided into 3 different classes, and I believe everyone's fielding a team this year except Barberville, but we'll check more on that. But again, we'll always talk about some of the different sports going on in the area, and as we get toward October, especially mid-October, the playoffs, the districts, the regions, the state, and we'll keep you updated on that as well. We'll go ahead and take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to get GM Richie Grigsby in the hot seat as he and JT go toe-to-toe in the Take It to the Bank segment as we preview the games going on this weekend. So again, you're listening to Steve and JT on the Falls Auto Group Tri-County Sports Center here on Mix 96.1.
Get an all-American deal from folks that you can trust. Made right here in the USA, all-American cars and trucks. They just don't talk the talk, they walk the walk. At Falls Auto Group, you'll feel the difference.
Back here at the Chevy Showroom here at Falls Auto Group in Corbin. The last segment tonight on the Tri-County Sports Hour. And again, we want to thank Coach Justin Haddix for taking the time to come over and being on the show this evening. It was fun talking with him. But we're down to the last part of the show, JT. This is, I guess, the nitty-gritty, if you will. But before we get to that, we want to introduce someone. If you haven't heard of him before, or if you're on YouTube haven't seen him, this is General Manager Richie Grigsby of Falls Auto Group. He's the man that's allowing us to be here tonight. So, Mr. Grigsby, thanks for having us on.
We're a pleasure for you all to be here.
Well, appreciate that. So, we hope that this is the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship. How's that?
Absolutely.
All right, so I've invited Mr. Grigsby to come in and go toe-to-toe with the Take It to the Bank man, JT Elliott. Now, before we get started, 11-1 on the season, JT?
11-1, 91% so far this year.
So, you going against Knox Central there didn't go well for you this summer.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that in a moment.
Okay, well, let's get down to it. Our first game that we're going to preview, Knox Central taking on Pulaski Southwestern. It's going to be the first game of the Appalachian Bowl Saturday night over at Clay County. JT, what do you got?
Knox Central Athletic Director Jeff Kennedy told us last season, keep picking against us. This is a trap game after a big W for Knox Central. Take it to the bank, Southwestern wins.
And he's going to pick against them. All right. So, Mr. Grigsby, who do you got in this contest?
I will go with JT in this one.
Okay.
I think it's a trap game also.
Okay, so very good. So, going to go with Pulaski Southwestern. That our next game that we're going to preview, South Laurel is going to take on Rockcastle County tomorrow night. Down at South, JT, what do you got?
South needs to slow the game down and possess the ball more. Until they learn that, the margin of points for versus points against will be wide. And Rockcastle's coming off in the open week. Take it to the bank, the Rock.
So, Rockcastle County, JT has. So, Mr. Grigsby, what about you?
I'm going to go with South Laurel on this one.
Okay. Now, any
I
particular...
think it's time for them just to shine right here.
Okay. So again, our first opposite pick. This is good. Like this. Very good. So again, JT with Rockcastle, Mr. Grigsby with South Laurel. Now our next game, North Laurel will travel up to take on West Jesserman. JT.
Many people think that the Colts of West Jessamine, this is a trap game for North, and they'll get them. They did lose to E. Town, which is a good team, and they also lost to Woodford County. Stephen Nelson, his 1,600-yard tally continues. He's at 1,221 yards to go to reach that and take it to the bank. The Jags win.
So JT has got North to go 3-0. What about you, Mr. Grigsby?
I'm going with North too.
Okay. Any particular reason or?
No particular reason.
No particular reason.
Things are just strong.
Just as strong. All right. Fair enough. All right. Now, this is the second game of the Appalachian Bowl, again, hosted by Clay County. So the main event, if you will, the host Clay County taking on Corbin. We talked a little bit earlier tonight, JT, but who do you have in this contest?
I think Will Sexton does burn the Red Hounds one time for a big play in the game, but take it to the bank. Corbin puts the running clock on the Tigers.
Oh, so you're not only saying Corbin win, but running clock time. All right. Mr. Grigsby.
Hey, Red Hound through and through, it's Corbin.
So you can't go against.
Can't go against
There you
Hounds.
go. So very good. Now our next game, Jackson County taking on Lynn Camp. Now, near and dear to your heart, JT, but who do you have in
Yeah,
this?
but there is no bias here. I shoot it straight how I
Okay,
see
just
it.
making sure.
Jackson beat Berea by 16 points in week 0. The Generals recovered six fumbles in that contest, and Lynn Camp is a running team. Jackson runs a wing T offense, and they blitz with a 5-man front. That can put a lot of pressure on Lynn Camp's running game. And the wing T is honestly an offense I'm not very familiar with. It's a very classical offense. But take it to the bank. Allen Harris and the Wildcats win.
So they got a 2-1 on the season. So Mr. Grigsby.
I'm going with Lynn Camp also.
There
I
you
think
go.
the momentum's going to keep rolling.
All right, very good. So Lynn Camp over Jackson County. Now, Williamsburg, 0-2 on the season. Do they get their first victory this week against visiting Leslie County? JT.
Leslie is improved. Just like last season, the record can be deceiving because they don't really play a tough schedule. Jerry Herron's squad is improved from last week. Take it to the bank. Williamsburg starts the season at 0-3, courtesy of the team from Tim Couch Pass.
Okay, so Leslie County is the team that JT's going with. Mr. Grigsby, what about you?
All right, JT.
Uh-oh.
Williamsburg gets the first victory of the season this week.
Okay, so they put it all together, get their first win. All right, very good. So kind of going along the same way for about 3 of the games, a little split decision on a couple one. Now, there's a really important game we didn't mention, but Whitley County takes on Open. Who do you have for that one, JT? That's going to be a tough contest.
I'm going to go with the Whitley County players laying on the couch and enjoying their Friday night free.
So you're going Whitley County over Open. Any disagreements there, Mr.
No,
Grigsby?
and that's what they need to do, get the rest.
Get the rest. So Whitley County, they get the win this weekend, all right, as they rest and get ready for next week's activity. All right, so take it to the bank. All right, JT, we'll follow these and see how things work out, see if you can add to that 91%.
Yeah, I look forward to Mr. Grigsby passing me the keys to a 2016 Chevy Malibu next week.
And wake up from the dream, right? So, all right, so we hope to do this every week. We'll bring in Mr. Grigsby to go ahead and pick along with JT. Very good. Real quick, Mr. Grigsby, what are you doing this weekend, Labor Day weekend?
Labor Day weekend, just probably going to be like Whitley County, just relax and be with the family.
There you go. JT, what about you?
Yeah, I can't wait to play on the swing set with my children and, put my arm around my lovely wife, Lindsay. I want to say hi to her and Anna and Micah at home.
All right, very good. Now, I got some other stuff going on, but one thing happening Saturday, get back into the PA shoes down at Union College. Real quick plug. So Union starting their first game of the season, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And again, college football starting tonight as well. I know they got some games tonight, and they're going full slate this weekend. So everybody have fun in their Labor Day weekend and enjoy yourselves. So again, want to thank everyone for being on tonight. Mr. Grigsby, thank you for taking the time. Again, thank you to Coach Haddix from Corbin to take the time to come over and talk with us. So again, next week, just to give you a little idea of next week, we got it confirmed earlier tonight. Knox Central head coach Scotty Russell going to be joining us here in the showroom, and we'll get to talk a little Knox Central football as we get into the first full week of September. So again, thanks everybody for being a part of the show. Thank you to Falls Auto Group for allowing us to use the Chevy showroom. So for Steve Black, for JT Elliott, and for everyone else that's put this show together, Ollie Hall at Mission Control, if you will, thank you again. You've been listening to the Tri-County Sports Hour here on Mix 96, and as always, have yourselves a super sports weekend. Good night, everybody.